New refugees came more frequently, and only a slight few decided to try their luck elsewhere. Things around town got crowded. In Aero's head, he imagined the select few who left X-12 were going to the main hub to help the cause. But the sad reality was they were more than likely running away. Who can blame them? The Shadow controls more than half of everything and has for some reason paused their conquest for what remains. There is no better time to try for something better. I guess it doesn't matter. I'm jealous of anyone who gets to leave this stinking rock. The increasing amount of time spent alone on X-12 triggered a hypnotic response. With a little more than 3 years left until he was old enough to join the academy, Aero focused on improvement. He became more consistent, training every day he could. The days he couldn't, Aero would run into the desert and sometimes even further into the mountains. On those days, he would return bloody and covered in dirt. 4 months flew past with nothing but one dusty day after another, until an unusual buzz spread through the town. Granted, there was always a lot of excitement when a cruiser unexpectedly showed up. This time, they were in such a rush they didn't even enter X-12's orbit. As several transports disembarked the hangar bay at the center of the cruiser, the entire town, to Aero, felt like it stood still. Being so far away from the Galactic Alliance main hub, resupply only received refugees from the closest neighboring systems. At its finest moments, the town was merely a pit stop for refugees heading towards the main hub or for the heroes heading out to defend them. Every local knew in these rare situations the GA was dropping off refugees who just escaped the chaos of the Shadow. Worst of all, among the group of newbies disembarking the transport were 2 GA droids escorting a group of orphans. The somber shuffle of the orphans was apparent, a clear reflection of the suffering they had just escaped. Normally, Aero paid no attention to the comings and goings of refugees. He was too heartbroken after years of being unable to make friends. During these sorrowful moments, he spent his time on the rooftops, taking in the sight of the cruiser, dreaming of adventure and the other worlds it could lead him to. For some reason, today's daydreaming only perpetuated his depression. The droids were tall, and when he spotted their sharp-angled heads making their way through town, he knew if they were this far from the market, the remaining orphans had no one to take them in, and they were likely headed to the refugee center. Over the moping and dreaming he does most days, Aero made his way inside to investigate. Climbing back through the roof, Aero saw the morbid headmaster waddling to the entrance with heroic effort. His enthusiasm validated the recent lack of viable candidates for his little program. Someone's excited. These newbies must be worth something for him to put this kind of effort in. After the sweet creaking symphony of Gront struggling to open the door, in stomped the droids, followed by 2 beings shrouded by cloaks. Only 2 this time. Sucks when nobody wants you. I know what that feels like. Intrigued, Aero stepped down to a lower level of the rafters for a better look. In walked a tall, slender figure whose body and face were hidden. Standing in the glare of the open doorway, the first newbie surveyed the surroundings. A moment later, the second cloaked figure appeared, this one much shorter. Crossing the threshold, the second newbie tripped, stumbling into the back of the first and knocking off both of their hoods in the process. Fueled with embarrassment, they scrambled to recollect themselves. Aero laughed at their missteps but was unable to look away. No way! Is that a dark elf? I thought they weren't around anymore. The clumsier newbie was blocked from sight by Gront. Aero tried to reposition for a better look, but the lunch bell rang and the newbies, along with the headmaster, were instantly lost in the crowd. Knowing the center's kitchen only fed a limited number, Aero chose to let curiosity fade and rushed to get in line. Today was Surprise Burger Day. The surprise never refers to something delightful, just the assortment of scrap meat used in the ingredients. It's still one of the best meals they serve, even if you get a bad combo every once in a while. Taking a seat at the end of the last corner table closest to the window, Aero looked around to see where the newbies ended up. To his surprise, the elf boy happened to be sitting at the same table, not even 10 seats away. Grooves on his face and arms, gray skin, pointy ears. That's definitely a dark elf. Cool. Taking a bite from his mystery meat burger, Aero pondered the whereabouts of the other newbie when a food tray slammed on the table in front of him, nearly scaring him out of his seat. "Oh, I'm sorry. Did I scare you?" asked the sweetest voice Aero had ever heard. Collecting himself, Aero looked across the table, only to be consumed by shock and disbelief. No way! A human? An actual human? And she's a girl! A beautiful girl? Aero's mind was racing, but not a single sentence could form. Standing in front of him was the first human being he had ever laid eyes on. Long, curly hair, a deep brown complexion that nearly glowed, and emerald eyes that pierced right through you. She needed no powers or magical spell. Aero was dumbstruck. "What are you looking at?" the human girl snapped. Aero could not speak. It was as if he never knew how to speak to begin with. In the first attempt, he only managed a series of mumbles and stutters. "Oh, I'm sorry," she replied. "You must have some kind of brain damage or disability, right? I'm so sorry for being rude. Times like these, a girl can't be too careful." Fighting a type of fear he had never experienced before, Aero summoned what courage he could to produce an awkward, No, my bad. I was just surprised, that's all. No brain damage or disability, at least that I know of," he said, gently tapping his head with his knuckles. "So I was right then. You're just a weirdo that likes to stare," she scoffed. Aero was completely embarrassed, but still had to think of something. "Oh yeah, I can explain. It's just that—" "What? It's just what? Never seen a human girl before?" she interrupted. "Well, actually, yes. I was staring because you're the first human of Earth or any planet I've ever seen," Aero shyly replied. The brewing encounter went silent as they both stared at one another. "Oh," she said, finally sitting down. "Well, my name is Ava, and as the first human you've ever met, may I say it's nice to meet you." She extended her hand. "What is she doing? Is she trying to prove she's a human by showing me her hand? It is a nice hand." "Shake it, silly," Ava insisted. Aero's hand moved slowly towards hers, grasping and then shaking it ever so softly. "My name is Aero. Nice to meet you, Ava." "Aero, huh? What kind of name is that? Do you shoot arrows out of your hand or something? Please tell me it's your hands." "Well, when I got here many years ago," Aero said, "I didn't have a name, so I chose one. Aero seemed like a much better choice than what most locals call me." "Oh," Ava said, shamefully taking a bite of her food. They focused on their meals as an awkward silence came over what seemed like the entire dining hall. It lasted until a royal accent Aero had only ever heard mimicked broke the silence. "He is fond of you, Ava," the dark elf said, still looking over his meal, but now sitting 2 seats away. Aero's face turned bright red at the truthful accusation. "Interesting," the dark elf exclaimed while scooting even closer. "I did not know your species could change color. Is it a physical or an emotional defense mechanism?" Ava burst out laughing and almost fell to the floor as Aero's face went even more crimson. "Shut up," Aero murmured under his breath, clearly mortified. "My apologies. I meant no offense. My name is Rael Argos II, and it is my pleasure to make your acquaintance." The dark elf scooted into the seat next to Aero. Now that the elf was next to him, Aero couldn't help but take a closer look at his distinguishing features. Rael's hair was white as snow, with skin a dark shade of gray. Intricate patterns grooved into not only his face but his entire body. The irises of his eyes were jet black, with the rest a glowing purplish white. They were oversized like his ears, and every word he spoke came out in a calm, elegant way. Ava was still laughing. "Oh, you crack me up, Rael." "Are you 2 friends?" Aero questioned. "Who, Rael? He's my brother, can't you tell? We came in from the Forger. That's our home," Ava said with a happy expression. Aero stared back in confusion. "You know, the space colony Forger? The largest mobile space colony in existence?" Ava bragged. At the second mention of where they came from, Ava's joyful expression vanished. Without a moment to even ask if she was okay, Ava began to vent her frustrations. "I just don't understand why they're so angry. Did the GA do something to cause all this? Or are they really that evil?" Aero remained quiet, assuming she was referring to the shadow and that she wasn't done talking. "We were forced to evacuate due to an impending attack," Ava said. "My home, where I lived my entire life, abandoned overnight. Everyone of age or use went directly to the main hub for the academy or conscription. Everyone else was brought here." An awkward silence followed. "I was only aboard the Forager for 2 years," Rael said. "So it wasn't too bad being brought here." Rael's lack of understanding and the dynamics of joke making only served to prolong the moment of silence. However, a moment later, Rael's choice of words somehow released the tension in the air, leaving room for only one thing: the three of them bursting into laughter before returning to their meals. Who are these two? Aero thought for a while about what life aboard a space colony must be like. Taking a break from his mystery meat burger, Aero couldn't help but ask, "Are you really a human of Earth?" Let me think. Ava rubbed her chin in a slow, deliberate manner. "I'm pretty sure I am, although I don't really know how to prove it," she answered sarcastically. The three of them laughed, each doing their best to hide the part of them burdened with sorrow.